Did synagogues exist in the first century, or are they anachronistic as some mythicists claim? Well, they did exist, and this is how we know. So the claim usually is that synagogues didn't exist until after the fall of the temple in 70 AD, but we have literary evidence to say that, hey, they did exist before that. Now, first we have Josephus. Now, even though he's writing after the fall of the temple, he is telling us about history. But we have something better than that, even. We have Philo of Alexandria, who died before the fall of the temple, and he also tells us about synagogues, not just in the Holy Land, but also in the diaspora. We have something even better than that, though. In Jerusalem, around the first century, we find the Theodotus inscription. Now, this inscription tells us that a synagogue was being built on the place where a previous synagogue had already been built. And in fact, this kind of went back a few generations. Now, what we can assume from this is that even in the first century BC, we had synagogues in that area. So, yes, we know synagogues did exist in the first century, and that's really not controversial. This is something that's widely accepted. Okay, so we have literary evidence that synagogues existed, but what about archaeological evidence? Well, that's a little bit more complicated because when we look at the term synagogue, it really means gathering or community. And often, this type of community or gathering would be held in just someone's home, at least within the early period. Even with that said, we do have some first century archaeological evidence that shows that synagogues did exist there. So we have Capernaum, we have Gamla, we have Kirba Canaan. These were all pretty large synagogues. We also have the synagogue in Magdala. So we have a variety of different synagogues that existed in the first century within Galilee, and these all existed before the temple was destroyed. So, to make the claim that synagogues are anachronistic to that time period simply isn't correct because we have both literary and archaeological evidence to show that yes, they did exist, not just in Israel, but also in Galilee and the diaspora.